Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my podcast and YouTube channel, helping other people evolve. Today I have Brandon with me. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. It's always fun having somebody like sit next to me. A lot of you know I just do a Zoom sometimes, so it's different and it's good. But I got to remember to look at the camera and not focus on you all the time. So, anyways, you guys, this is Brandon. I met Brandon through a diner that I work at, and also we were at an event that we met again, and then we've been chatting a little bit. And he said, "Yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast." So I'm super excited to hear his story. Like I was just telling him I don't know anything about his story, which I always love those stories too, when I know nothing about them. So just so everybody knows what my mission and vision with Hope is when I started it, it is just to help people that feel like they're struggling alone. You know, in this world, especially in the last 4 years, I feel like so many people are at home and they just feel like they're alone in their struggles and nobody else is going through what they're going through. And maybe Brandon's story isn't the same as your story because we all have our own stories, but his story will show you that yeah, we can get through anything. And you know, life happens, but through our struggles, we can get to a strength. And it's unfortunate that we all go through struggles, but fortunately, we're still here to share that with other people, I believe. So
Absolutely.
as I say to everybody, Brandon, you're now my friend officially. We've been friends anyways, but now you're my official Hope friend. So anyways, Brandon, I guess a little bit about who Brandon is, where Brandon came from, and you know.
I grew up Toledo, Ohio. I went to McKinley Elementary School. Well, before that, I went to First Church of God, McKinley Elementary, DeVoe Junior High, started high school, played football at the University of Toledo for 3 years. And then I played my last year at Walsh University in Canton.
Oh, okay.
Got to play at the Hall of Fame, so that was a pretty cool experience too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the broad, in a nutshell, point of view of like my background. Grew up West Toledo.
Okay.
Goodale was the street that I grew up on. World famous Goodale. I know a lot of people, don't know where that is. I know we're friends, mutual friends with Derek and Daryl Austin. They grew up a couple streets over from us, so they were like brothers with me and my brother growing up. And their dad actually used to take us to school when we went to McKinley together in his truck. I remember he had the stick shift truck. That was the first time I ever been in a car with stick shift. I'm like, why does he keep doing
What's he doing?
Right. I like, usually you just get in and drive and you don't have to do anything. So that was like my first experience with a stick shift truck.
Awesome.
And his dad would take us to school every morning, or if he could, and if my dad was laid off, then he would take us. So we always grew up and spent a lot of time together with those two guys too. So they're super good people, man. I just actually saw Daryl when I saw you at the diner.
Yeah.
About a week ago. So good to see that he's doing well. So
yeah, they are awesome people. So anybody that follows me on social media, when you see two little boys that I babysit, that's Derek's children. So I'm blessed to be part of that family. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. So and Sammy was he a talker back then too?
Yes.
He's a talker. So yeah. So growing up, did you like grow up like normal, like mom, dad, everything going on in life?
Yeah. I mean, we grew up both parents in the home. My parents have been married for, I think it's either 52 or 53 years now. So grew up, like I said, 2-parent home. Both my parents always worked. They were blue collar. My dad worked in the skilled trade. So he could kind of like pick and choose like when he wanted to be laid off. So he would usually do like take the summers off, because he was our coach in baseball and football when we were kids growing up. So he had the opportunity to do that. My mom worked at the gas company. The main office used to be downtown, and then they moved it to Columbus, and we obviously weren't going to move to Columbus. So she took the buyout and she started teaching after that. So they were always, I mean, they never missed any of our games.
Yeah.
My sister went to DeVille, but she ran track, got a track scholarship to Bowling Green. My brother played baseball at Start on all of those Final Four teams and state teams. He got a scholarship to Alabama A&M. He played baseball there. And then I played football. I obviously got a scholarship to play at Toledo. And then my nephew, actually, he got a scholarship. He was in the NFL too. He played at Akron with the St. John's. So got some pretty good genes, some pretty good bloodlines running through our family. So definitely super fortunate and blessed. And, just my parents were straight old school. I mean, they taught us like hard work,
Yeah.
dedication, being responsible. We always had chores growing up. So it just kind of taught us and instilled those things in us that we carry on today. And my dad is funny too, because when school would get out, he would make us take tennis lessons at
Mm,
Germain Park.
okay.
I mean, this is like late 80s, early 90s. So like Serena, like we didn't know who
Right,
they were.
right.
So we like, yeah, we the only black dudes out here, me and my brother. I'm like, why are we here? Like, what are we doing? We had to get up 6 o'clock in the morning. But the good thing about it, a couple good things about it. First, it kept us out of trouble because
Right,
we couldn't be out late the night before because we knew we had to get up. We would
right.
ride our bikes up there, me and my brother. And Jermaine Park wasn't far from our house, so it didn't take us like super long to get there. We just rode the bike trail. And but it definitely taught us at an early age to be responsible and have that discipline and make sure that you get up, because that carried over to when you get a job, you'll have to get up and be
Mhm.
on time every morning and stuff like that. And on top of it, just getting us out of our comfort zone too, and just doing everything in the neighborhood. It made us evolve and more well-rounded because he put us in different
Yeah,
environments. Just like the same thing with baseball. I mean, we played baseball too, and we would be like the only black kids on the team, maybe like one other kid. But I mean, some of my best friends, like they lived in Perrysburg, Oregon, and other places. And it was just like, it just taught me how to be able to connect with people,
sure.
from different backgrounds that didn't look like me. And it
Yeah.
definitely, paid dividends to, where I'm at today.
Sure. And that's, so I was just talking to my cousin on my way to drive home last night about discipline
Mhm.
and how it's kind of went like this because, and unfortunately, I don't know where this started. And I told her, I said, it's not like you have to beat your children. I get
Right.
that. But my son and I actually, we were at the Jeep Fest on Saturday
Mhm.
and he said something of the sort of like, do you remember that one time? I don't know if he threw a sucker stick or something on the ground.
Mhm.
He's like, and you basically told me you will never do that again in your entire life.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember that, but you do, which is what we try to do, right?
Absolutely.
And there has to be some discipline. And anymore, you try to discipline. My cousin just said to me a couple weeks ago, she's raising 3 girls. 2 of them are teenagers right now. And she's raising them by herself. And she said something about, well, if I could get this teenager to do, whatever. And I was like, well, spank her butt. I mean, she's like, I can't. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? She's like, because nowadays somebody will call the police and the next thing you know, I'm in trouble. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's came to. And it's sad.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, obviously that should be the last resort. I got small
I mean, I get it. I get
daughters
it.
too,
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit up here and say I never spanked their butt before,
Right.
And I mean, coming up with me, I always tell people like every spanking behind whooping that I got, I definitely earned it and I deserved it, but it made me a better man and I actually learned from it and didn't make some of those same mistakes again for sure. So it definitely, I feel like you still have to be able to put that fear
Right.
in children, especially at a younger age,
Right.
because they're so impressionable. So it's like you don't want to have to spank them or do that.
Right.
But I mean, if you have to as the last resort and they learn from it, then they'll be better from it.
Well, and that's what I think too. I mean, of course, there's that fine line, and
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
for sure.
talking anything about like child abuse here,
No,
you guys.
not at all.
But there's that fine line. But like you said, like Chad's 34 years old, and
Mhm.
I can give him a look, and he's like, "Oh boy," like I know to shut up or whatever. But and I think I probably spanked Chad 3 times in his entire life, right? It wasn't like anything like that. But I think that's where it's fallen short a lot in the whole like work ethics and
Yeah.
all of that, because there is no discipline. There's not a lot of consequences,
Right.
and I always say we make choices, right? There's a consequence either way.
Absolutely.
Good choice, bad choice, there's a consequence. But if you don't know that what you're doing is wrong, then
Right.
how do you ever function then?
No, for sure. And I mean, that's the good part about like being a kid too, though. It's like you're gonna make those mistakes. And honestly, I feel like it's either parents are on one end of the spectrum or the other. It's either like super strict discipline, or it's like you got the other side where it's like they don't let them make mistakes too. And they
Right.
try to like
Yeah.
shield them from everything. And it's like, you gotta,
Coddle.
you gotta let your children fail too. So it's like that fine line to where you don't want them to fail too much, but you do want them to fail so they can learn how to deal with adversity and how to be able to handle it. Because you're not going to always be there to
That's
hold their
right.
hand too.
That's right.
So it's like, it's that fine line.
Yeah.
Everybody parents different. So I
Right.
don't think that I have
Right.
a blueprint on parenting. I don't. I'm still figuring it out too. My kids are young, so I'm still figuring it out too. So
Yeah.
definitely.
How old are your kids?
5 and 2.
Oh, they're still really young.
Yeah, they're still real young.
You got a lot of figuring out to do.
I know,
Brandon.
definitely. Most definitely, I do for sure.
But you had your parents as good examples too, so that
yeah.
that does help too, you
Yes.
know, and I think nowadays also a lot of grandparents are raising their grandchildren. And I think, so my mom did that with my niece and nephew, and I think that's hard too, and I did the same because I helped raise them too, but I felt like I wanted to be that aunt, but at the same time I couldn't be. You
Right.
know, you want to be that grandparent, but at the same time you can't because you have to discipline them. And
Yeah.
grandparents aren't supposed to be like that.
Right. And that
you
was
know?
like with my nephew. So like he grew up with us. He lived with us. And he calls my dad his dad, even though
Okay.
it's his grandfather, because we just grew up together and he pretty much helped raise him. But I mean, my dad, he treated him just like he treated us. Obviously, it was his grandson, but I mean, like he got the same discipline, the same like punishments that we got too, though. And it definitely paid off for him too.
That's
for sure.
good. That's good.
For sure.
So I like when you talked a little bit about the diversity too of the people that you were around. And as I'm older now, I can say that I appreciate that so much that you talk about that because I grew up in Bedford.
Okay. Not a lot of diversity there.
There was not a lot of diversity at all.
No, I know.
And honestly, I mean, not that I don't can't say that I was ever racist, I guess, but I didn't know any different, right? Because all I saw was the news.
Right.
And I don't watch the news, just so everybody knows nowadays, but that's all I saw. So I didn't know. And I mean, I guess I'm almost, I wouldn't say ashamed of the way that it came about, but I just didn't know a difference, right? And so my friend Laura, it's kind of a crazy story. She has a nonprofit in Africa.
Okay.
So she went over to Africa by herself. And I remember when she was going, there's a whole lot of uprisings and stuff. I'm like, you're going by yourself? And she's like, that's where God's leading me. And I'm like, okay, if you know, just let's keep in contact and stuff. And I knew she was going to be fine, but she met her husband over there.
Oh, wow.
So his mom was a pastor at a church.
Okay.
And he was a Christian gospel singer. Well, he still is, but he sings here now. But, so anyways, they met. Well, of course he's Black African, right? So they come over here and I was like, Laura, like, I don't know. And I mean, I'm just being honest here. And so I met Kara and I was like, oh, he's super nice. Now, in another defense, my ex was a crack addict. And so I saw a lot of that area too. So anyways, that's when my diversity really started. Like, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You know, I don't know any different. Now I know a lot different. But so I think that diversity is so important. And I know even at the casino when I was working there, they did a lot of trainings on that because they need to.
Absolutely.
And especially
the world needs it.
Oh,
the
good
world
Lord.
definitely.
It sure does. And I'll have conversations with people and they'll say something about somebody. And I'm like, do you know the person though? Like you're looking at someone because I don't know, they're Hispanic, they're Black, they're this, you're Irish. Like you need to look at that in a bigger picture, I think.
Absolutely.
And I think that our world needs to know that more.
Absolutely.
And so what you do, I think, is so good with the kids, you know, and like you said, that gives you the well-roundedness from what your dad did with you.
Definitely. I mean, like I said, he prepared me for that at that age. Cause like I said, some of my best friends are white. Obviously I have best friends that are Black too, but it was just like, it didn't matter to either of us. You know what I mean? Like it was just like, that's just Brandon, or that's just Kelly, or that's just Taylor, or that's just Mark. Like we were all just, it didn't matter. Like we were just friends and we played baseball together and rode bikes and we just did everything. And we never looked at it like that, you know, but it's like now looking back on it, it definitely, it just set the stage for everything like that I'm going through. The job that I'm at, coaching at Auto Hills, predominantly white. And I told him in my interview, I said, I couldn't even, like Black people couldn't even drive through here, especially like when I was growing up, like I got pulled over.
Oh, in Auto Hills,
You know what I mean? My buddy, he got a DUI driving through there. I was playing at Toledo and he was taking me home or we were going somewhere and we cut through there and he ended up getting a DUI, you know, and I just told him, I said, it's bigger than football for me being there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes.
just what opening up the doors for other people to be able to come there too. So I know that obviously it's game 7 for me every day when I have to put my best foot forward and do things the proper way because everybody's watching me, which
Mhm.
I know that, you know,
Right.
and I know what I signed up for, and that's
Right.
definitely, it keeps me sharp and it keeps me on my toes, and I'm A-okay with that because it's helping me grow as a person every day,
Sure.
you know, and just like the parents, the kids, like they've been great, man. I mean, honestly, I don't have any complaints. Like most people were like, is it all right over there? Like you gonna be over there? I'm like, it's fine. I said they embraced me with open arms, and I told them in my interview too. I said, listen, I don't do things by the book. Like I'm not like your average, like just straight in there. Like this is how we do it. I'm like, I'm just gonna be myself.
Right.
You know, it might rub some people the wrong way, but I'm just letting you know, like, I'm just gonna be me. And the rest is just kind of been history. I mean, they embrace me, they love me, I love them too. And like I said, their sons have been awesome. And honestly, like most people have like the stereotype of them is being like spoiled and entitled, you know, rich kids,
Right.
soft, don't want to work and stuff like that. Well, on my football team this year, 90% of our kids have summer jobs.
Oh,
And I mean,
wow.
like one of them, he worked in a factory. We got some other ones, they worked like pouring concrete, like doing different stuff like that. So it's like they're changing how the parents are changing how they're raised over there,
Sure.
teaching them that blue collar, hard work, ethic, and mentality. And that's what we carry on over into the football field. Because I would do interviews like with, you know, different stations or news outlets, and they're
Right.
like, yo, how in the hell do you get them to play this hard? And I'm like, I use what everybody say about them against them.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Coach, I'm not soft. Like I want to prove that I'm not soft. I'm like, well, play with a chip on your shoulder and show everybody that you're not. And they just kind of took it and ran with it. And they've been,
Awesome.
yeah, they'll run through a brick wall for me, and I'll do the same thing for them. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
so when he's talking about Ottawa Hills, it's a little community area
Super
here,
small.
super
It's
small.
called a village. That's how small
Right,
it is.
it's so small, but and it's the houses over there. There's a lot in the streets. You got to go 25 miles an hour.
Oh
and
yeah,
Don't, you
exactly.
know, don't miss a stop sign because he's
Right.
right. And I suppose definitely still probably driving through there's a little.
Oh
hard
yeah,
for
I still
people.
do the speed limit.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I ain't
yeah.
messing around. And I know some of the police officers like Jade. I actually, when I was working at Wimmer, she was one of my students at Wimmer, and now
Oh,
she's a
okay.
police officer over there. So it's good to see her over there too and doing good things.
So did you coach at Whitmer too then?
I did.
Oh, okay.
So my coaching journey, sorry, I didn't kind of
Oh, that's okay. No.
touch on that. So I started coaching in 2003. I think it was 2003, 2004. I started at St. John's. I was there for 6 years, and I left there. I went to Scott. I was at Scott for a year, Wait for 2 years, Northview for 2 years, back to St. John's, Whitmer for 3, and then I went to Ottawa Hills. But I
Okay.
stopped coaching football for about probably maybe 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And then I was coaching baseball. That's what brought me to Ottawa Hills.
Oh,
So
okay.
I took a head JV baseball job over there. But I was still working wise, I was still at Whitmer. And then like after a couple of years, we got a new superintendent. It was like, yo, like you know the kids, you have a great relationship with them. Like, why don't you, you know, work over here and do the same thing that you're doing? And I transitioned over there. This will be my 4th year.
Okay.
This will be my 4th year in the building over there. So yeah, so that's kind of like my coaching journey, mixed with like my job or whatever. So it's been good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
That's
been good.
awesome.
And then my job, I'm a parent. So I work with kids on IEPs, or some of them could be like severely handicapped. Like
Oh,
my
okay.
one girl last year, I'm gonna miss her too. She actually is going to Whitmer, but she was in a wheelchair, Patty. So like that was So that's like what I do. I like work with like special needs kids or kids like on IEPs and stuff like that, just to be able to like give back and
That's
you know and
awesome.
help those guys too. And
Yeah.
girls. I work with girls too. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome what you do.
Thank
Because
you.
we need more Brandons in this world. For sure, we do, you know, and that's the thing, you know. I guess you working with kids, that's huge. And the way that you are helping to discipline them, like you said, that, you know, these kids at Idle Hills are considered soft, like, you know,
Right.
raised by the silver
Yeah.
spoon, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I thought that too coming over there because I was like, and that's why honestly, that's why I didn't coach football at first. So I was coaching baseball, and like the first year, I was like, I don't think this is for me. You know what I mean? And then Coach Hartman, he was just like, Brandon, just like was like, we got people coming in for like the next 7 years, and they're like moving into here.
Mm,
They're not like from Idle Hills, they're moving into here. So he was like, tell you what, just give it another year. And then if you don't like it, then you can do whatever you need to do. So I'm like, all right. First year went through, I'm like, okay, whatever. So then the second year, I'm like, all right, let's see how it works. But we had a good group of guys coming in. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I can do this. And we had another class and another class. And I mean, we had kids, two kids, they were twins. They moved up here from Texas. We had like some Bedford kids, Clay, Washington local, like that they were moving in. And I'm like, yeah, like now, okay, like I can work with this, you know, and it just like class after class like that. And it was just like, man, like, okay, like I see what he was saying. And like their parents didn't all grow up there. And it was just like they had that blue collar, hard work mentality.
Yeah.
So it was like great because like that's just how I am. And that's how I coached everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just like we had so much fun, Tammy. I mean, it would be like, and we played everybody too. Baseball, I mean, we would play Northview, Southview, all of the Catholic schools, Central, St. John, St. Brand. We were beating everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it was the coaches would get so pissed. They like Little Hollywood Hills. I'm a black coach, and they just like the kids play well and they play hard. And that was the thing. It was just like the belief is like the biggest thing. And that was like what changed from when I first got there up until this point. It's like they believe that they can beat anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they don't take it back. Like they like, coach, we don't care who we play. We don't care about St. John. We don't care about this school or that school, whatever. And people don't understand. Like that's like 90% of it is mental, and you believing that you can do something. So once that was set in, now it was like just go ahead and let your talents, you know,
Right.
take over and you know do things like that. And like I said, the rest is kind of history. I mean, we were my last 2 years that I coached JV football, we were 44-6. And then that group the next year that when they went to varsity, they went to the state semifinals. I mean, they were
Wow.
yeah.
Now I want to segue right into what you just talked about. It's kind of funny because I was thinking this out, like mindset and that, because the belief, and you've been sending me little Inky Johnson videos, which I love Inky, and but all about the mindset and what we feed ourselves
Yeah.
is what's going to come out.
Absolutely.
You know, I had a long conversation with my cousin last night, about 3.5 hour drive home, and she talked the whole time. Well, we talked, but her mindset is definitely she lives in the past so much. And she's like, how do you stay so happy? And how do you do this? And why do you travel all the time? And why do you do this? And I'm like, well, for one thing, we get one life, and I'm going to live it the best that I can.
Right.
But I said, I get up every day with gratitude. I get up, I listen to motivational things. I don't get up, I don't turn the news on.
Yeah.
Right. And so
sure.
I'm so, what do I want to say? Diligent on that, like keeping our minds right and everything like that. And then that leadership falls right down. You know, I worked and I'm casino. If you don't like me, it's okay. But I worked at Hollywood Casino, and from the top down, the management was horrible in table games anyways.
Okay.
And like, I tried to go back there for a year, and I stayed my 1 year because I got a bonus and I had to stay there that year. But my mental health was failing, and I'm like, I can't do this for myself. And I think that that's something that people need to know more about, like what we feed our mind, you know, what goes in is what's going to come out, basically.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And that's why, like, I send you, like, you're a part of the thread, and I send, like, all my kids on my football team. I try to send it as early as I can because I want them to see that as the first thing
Mhm.
that they see during the day, and then it'll kind of get their day off to a good, to a good start. Because I always feel like whatever you put into the atmosphere is gonna come back to you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I always try to put good stuff out there, positive energy, surround myself around positive people, and just kind of pay it forward all the things that I've been taught and
Yep.
learned. And
I agree with that 100%. And something that I've learned too is the more that we feed ourselves with that and hang around people like that, like
Yeah.
our circles, right? Well, my circle's gotten real little, but our circle will help with that, you know?
Absolutely.
And I was just listening, I don't know if I sent it to you or not, or somebody, but it was about who we hang around with when
Yeah.
we're growing up.
Yeah.
You know, you're growing up and you're hanging out with these people, and your parents would say, who you hang out with is who you're gonna be like, and you're like, okay, whatever. It's true.
But
It's so true.
no, it really is true, and especially coming from my neighborhood. So I'll tell you a quick story. It's a funny story. So, growing up, we grew up. I mean, like gangs was like big, like when I was growing up or whatever. So we like lived in the Crip neighborhood. You got like your Crips and your Bloods neighborhood, but they were like that was our friends in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? So I can't remember how old I was. I think I might have got to it might have been like eighth grade, and I didn't even know this, but like my dad like told like the people in the neighborhood, like, you can't hang out with him no more. Like no. Like we not, and I never knew that he said that.
Okay.
And they had respect for my dad because my dad was like the neighborhood dad to everybody. And they was like, yeah, like pretty much run away from him. Like if he come down here, like I don't want you guys around him. So I would go down there and be like, yo, man, like, yeah, like get off. We called it the block. They're like, get off the block, be like, we know. And I never knew like
Oh,
why.
my.
And later on it was like, yeah, your dad was like, yo, dude, like he don't want you getting wrapped up in this, and we don't want you getting wrapped up in it either. And out of respect for your dad, it's just like we just stayed away from you. You know what I mean? And
Right.
just kind of like, nah, you can't do that. So definitely appreciate my dad, for doing that. And I am still friends with some of those guys,
Sure.
and they are older now, and they got families, and they're doing well. So I'm definitely appreciative of them for respecting my dad and being like that with me. And they would come to my games, like they would be there Friday night. They was all lined up, and they still supported me and was cheering for me.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, though. So
Well, let me ask you this though. When they were telling you, we can't hang around with you, what'd you think about that?
I mean, I was kind of hurt because I'm like,
Yeah.
these are my friends, and
Right.
it's like I grew up with them, all of this time, and it was just like, damn, like, do I got to play?
Is there
Like
something
these
wrong with
dudes?
me?
Yeah, and I mean, as a kid, like,
Right.
how do you process that as a kid? Like,
Yeah.
you just thinking like, dang, I'm not cool no more, and they don't
Right.
want to hang out with me, or like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
But I mean, like I said, I didn't know that he had talked to him and said to stay away, and it was just like he did me such a valuable lesson.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I could have got wrapped up
Right.
into it, and he knew that, and that's why he said that. Because he had to talk with me one day too. He was like, "Dude, listen, the way you going, either I'm gonna kill you, or somebody in the street gonna kill you for the things that you was getting into." Because I mean, we were getting into some stuff that we shouldn't have been getting into for sure, and it was just like he knew that, you know what I mean? Like he didn't know exactly what I was doing, but he knew the people that I was running with. And he was just like, they don't have the same goals
Yeah.
that you have. So it was just like, we got to get you off of that path and around people that it has the same goals and, the mindset and the things that you want to do.
So he's gonna send you to a tennis court.
So that was one of them. Tennis court, baseball field. I mean, we would be, no lie, Tammy, we would be like Rising Sun, Ohio, Walbridge, Ohio. Like just places that I've never even heard of or would have never even been to. You know what I mean? But it was just like, and baseball kept us busy. We would go from January, we would start in the gym at McKinley. Our first tournament would be in April in Walbridge, and like we would go all the way through until August, and then football started after that. So like he had the summer taken care of, and knew we was gonna be tied up and busy and doing stuff. So he kind of just, and then obviously we had tennis in the morning too. So I mean, our days were planned out, and then we had chores in between. We had to paint the house a couple times, inside and outside, fix the garage. So just doing like different stuff to keep us busy, but teaching us, that hard work, the discipline, and just being able to do things and and work with your hands and stuff like that. Because
Right.
my dad's dad, my grandfather, he was a plumber and a carpenter. So
Okay.
like he was super handy. They like refinished our basement in our house that we grew up in. And then my dad like picked up on that stuff. So like he can fix it. My dad, I always say he's the smartest man
Yeah.
alive. Like he can do anything, whether it's sports, non-sports, like whatever. Like he knows about everything. So he's definitely like somebody. He's my dad's my hero for sure because he
awesome.
can do everything, man. And we one of my best friends to this day. We'll go play golf together and just hang out. Like I can hang out with my dad
That's awesome.
anytime. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
good. That's awesome. Have you seen the Will Smith movie, this with the Serena and I can't think of their name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have seen it. Great movie, man. Like
Yeah.
I said, I know Serena's got the documentary out now too, man. And it's just like watching her story. It's just like so
Yeah.
cool just to see two Black girls come from
Compton.
of all
Right,
places. You know,
right.
dad getting his teeth kicked in. But I mean, like the things that you'll do for your kids. I
Right,
mean,
right. Well, and
I
that's the thing, and doing those things for your kids,
yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
we've talked about it a little bit before too, but you know that, I mean, I feel like we brought them here,
Yeah,
right?
no, for
So-
sure.
So, you know, it's our job, basically,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there comes a point when our job's over, like, we're still there for them, but
Right.
you're grown now, so you make those, I've said that to Chad one time, I'll never forget, I think we were in, I don't know if we were in Punta Cana or somewhere, and I mean, most people on here know that I've been sober for 20 years, and
Okay.
him
Congratulations.
and they were, thank you, they were all doing shots or whatever, because you know, it's all whatever, and he was gonna do a shot of tequila or something, and somebody looked at me and he looked at me and I said, listen, you're a grown ass man now.
Right.
And I walked away and they're like, I can't believe you just said that to Chad, because I kind of was, you know, he was my everything, but
Right.
I'm like, well, it's the truth. And so now people ask me questions about him. I'm like, no, he's a grown man. He's
Right.
gonna figure it out, you know?
Absolutely.
Of course, I'm there for him, but I think, and seeing that whole story, you know, just of how he, as a dad, made sure that his five girls, right? He had, I think he had five.
I think so.
I think it was five
I
girls,
think
but
it
he
was
was gonna
five,
make
and one of them
sure
got killed, but
one of
yeah.
them got killed, but he
Yeah, I
was gonna
think it
make
was
sure that they weren't, you
Yeah.
know, prostituting or
Right.
crack addicts or whatever on those streets of Compton, which
Absolutely.
well, he went through a lot.
He
It's-
did.
Yeah,
He
so
did.
I think it's just important for all around everything, you know, and like I said, our circle is so important, and
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and I feel like I said, well, that's what I was gonna continue with, like, so once we start doing our mindset better and thinking better and, you know, all the things, those other people disappear.
They really
you
do.
know? They really do.
They
It's
do.
like,
It's
okay, I
crazy,
can't do
but
that
it is-
anymore,
yeah.
or I can't use that person. You know what I mean? It's like they
Yes.
just kind of like fade away,
Yeah.
fade away. And my one friend is kind of going through something with a girl right now, and he was like, and I can't believe that she does this and she does this, she does this. And I'm like, I can't believe you allow it. And he was like, oh, well, that's it. And that's what I think a lot of it is. What do we allow anymore?
Right.
Right?
Definitely.
We can let it all just keep coming at us, or we can change who we are in our, how we value ourselves, I guess.
Absolutely. And I mean, it goes back to the saying. I mean, you can't expect something different from something that, you know what I mean? You know what it is, so you can't expect a different result. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just like God, he really does have a way. And
He
it's
does.
like you'll see the signs,
Yeah.
but you might not pay attention to it, or you'll let it slide, but then like something will happen, boom, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna put you on your ass to make sure
Right.
that you really get out of this situation.
Yeah.
Like obviously, you know what happened to me,
Yes.
you know, with my kid's mom
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it was just like, yeah, like that. It was time for me to go.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, the situation that he put me in. And, you know, I weathered the storm.
What a storm
Obviously.
that was.
It was. And I mean, you know, being in the position that I'm in and being a coach and stuff like that. So obviously, you know, it'll get put in the media, not like whether it's just like, you know, an everyday person, which like I said, I know what I signed up for. You know what I mean?
Right.
Things like that too. So, I mean, it definitely removes a lot of people from my life that really shouldn't have been there. You know what I mean? So, and it definitely let me see like who really was my friends and who really had my back. And,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
everybody's just like so quick to judge, but the majority of the people like know me and know my character. So they obviously knew like that it wasn't true.
Right.
So that definitely was comforting. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
you were even reaching out to me,
Yeah.
you know, and keeping me raised up. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. Like it was
Yeah.
some days like that I didn't want to get out of the bed.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It was just like I had my girls taken away from me. I had my 9 to 5 job taken away from me, and I had coaching taken away from me. So I had everything that I love taken away from me. Boom, just
Yeah,
like that.
just
You
like
know what
that.
I mean? And that was what I told my kids, my football kids, when I got back to school. And it was just like very good life lesson for them as far as like when they go off to college. You know what I mean? And you might be in a situation where a girl say, "Hey, he did this to me." You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And scholarship going and you kicked out of school just off of an accusation. Like they don't even have to have any facts.
Right.
So that's what I told them. Like, you guys just make sure that you're being careful. If you see these signs or red flags, run the other way.
Run
Yes,
fast.
seriously.
Right,
Just
pink
because,
flags, you see
right.
pink flags, I just
Definitely.
told my friend that yesterday, I'm like,
Yes.
you see one pink flag, it doesn't even have to be red anymore,
Yeah,
just go,
absolutely.
go.
And that's how I approach, you know, relationships and stuff like that now too. It's just like, because you obviously can feel somebody's energy
Mhm.
and know if, you know, they
Right.
should be there or not and stuff like that too. So it was, like I said, it was definitely a life learning experience. It definitely showed me that I had more strength than I thought that I had. I mean, I
Mhm.
thought that, you know, I was a pretty strong dude
Sure.
anyway, but it definitely showed me like how much strength that I really did have. And I knew that like God wasn't gonna put me through something that I couldn't handle.
Right.
Especially with like all of the stuff that I do, like for kids and other people and helping other people. So it's like, I know I'm gonna get through this and I know it's gonna be all right just because of, you know, I do have a good heart and I do, you know, a lot
Right.
of good
Right, you're a good person.
in the community. Yeah. So that's why I said I knew that it was gonna work itself out. So that definitely kept me driven and motivated and just knowing that it was gonna be okay. And obviously family and friends, the support was awesome. I had people from all over the world like reaching out to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
because we know, we see your character,
Yeah.
right? You know, and so that also what you said about you knew that God wasn't gonna let you down, that's when it comes to faith,
absolutely.
right? The faith that, the faith of a mustard seed, as they say,
Hmm.
but we really have to use that faith as
Yeah.
we go through life, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
and you know, they say God doesn't give you anything more than you can handle,
Mhm.
but nobody ever talks about, he doesn't give you more than you can handle, and you can go through a lot, but he wants you to depend on him with the faith,
Absolutely.
you know? So you might go through something that's horrible and not have any faith, and it's gonna continue to be horrible, and you're gonna be mad at God because you're like, well,
Why
you
is
put
this
me through
happening
this, why
yeah.
is this happening to
Yeah.
me? And
Definitely.
he's like, I want you to have faith in me,
Right.
continue the faith, because it might not be something that in a week you're gonna know what it was, or 10 days, or
Mhm.
for me, a lot of things I went through, I'm just now figuring out why I went through them.
Yeah.
You know, people say, I'm so sorry that you went through that, and I'm so sorry that, and I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, everything I've been through in my life has made me who I am today.
Absolutely.
And I'm
For
still
sure.
here, and I still have a pulse, and I still have a purpose, and I'm just gonna continue to, well, everybody that knows me too is I'm a big believer in God. So,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
and I have my faith, and I just had an example, and we'll probably wrap this up pretty soon, but I was driving, like I said, to Chicago yesterday
Mhm.
or Saturday, and we had the Jeep Fest in the morning. So I took the doors off, the hood off, the roof off. Actually, Derek helped me. Derek and Chad, my son, did it. And then afterwards went back over there, dropped fits off, and they put everything back on. I said, well, don't put the two front ones on. I'll drive to Chicago with those off, because it's nice to have that breeze and stuff, even though you get less gas mileage. But anyways, I figured that out. So I'm driving, and about 2.5 hours in, and everything's good. And I was like, all of a sudden my forehead felt like it was getting sunburned. I was like, man, I'm getting sunburned. I probably should put these back on. It's getting, you know, around 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock anyway. So I stopped at a 7-Eleven on the turnpike. I put them on, and I am not even kidding you. I did not get a half a mile down the road, and I saw like little raindrops. I was like, well, that's weird. I'm looking around, and it's not really cloudy. When I say a torrential downpour, like it was so bad. We were going 75, and I had to drop to 50, turn my hazards on, windshield wiper. I can't see anything. Nobody
wow.
can see anything for only like a minute and a half. I mean, it was like the craziest thing. And I was like, if I wouldn't have stopped right then,
Yeah.
I would have been soaked.
Wow.
But in my head, I went with, like you said, the faith, like the signs, like God was like, okay, your forehead's burning right now, pull over because you're about to get poured on, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's
Yeah.
that faith and belief and just knowing that, you know, he's in control of everything, but we have to be
Absolutely.
the ones to go with that faith and believe that. So,
Yeah,
you know, he gives us the
definitely.
signs, like, and it was funny, it was my cousin said, yeah, either you're gonna get your forehead pulled down by the rain or put your top back on. But it was just weird to me, like I kept feeling it, like, okay, I better stop at the next exit.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I did, and thank goodness I did.
See, you
So
listen to the signs, man. So
that's it, that's it.
that's good. And on top of everything that you've been through too, though, you have a testimony.
Right,
You know, I have a testimony, like we all have a testimony, and people we kind of touched on before, like don't realize that other people have been through these same things. So just hearing other people talk about it
right,
lets them know that they're not alone.
right.
You know, that's the biggest thing, because when you're going through something, it's just like you feel like it's only you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like even like with my situation, I had women reach out to me and say that they even had this happen through them, going
Oh.
through a custody battle where
Yeah.
their husband said that they did that.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
And it was just like, wow, really? And it was like, yeah. So it was like, know what you're going through, just stay strong. Think about your girls, like the girls are the most important thing, and just, you know, stay prayed up, obviously, keep your faith, and you know, everything will work itself out. But
yep.
yeah, and that did, like I said, it definitely helped me, just knowing that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only person going through this or have been through this, and to see where they're at today too, and everything worked out for them too.
Yeah.
So it definitely was just like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I can do this, and just praying every day, and the strength, and you know, because I pray for strength every day. Like I would strength and patience and perseverance. Like I pray for that every day.
Yeah.
So, definitely.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you getting on here with us today.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely,
Oh.
man. Like I said, I mean, when you asked me, I was like, absolutely. I know we kind of share some of the same visions on
Yep.
things. And actually Ricky Sapp,
Oh, yeah, Ricky
we've been
Sapp, who
in-
was on here before.
shout out to Ricky.
Yeah.
We've touched base with him, so we're working on getting him up here
That's so
this fall,
awesome.
and he'll talk to the whole school. I didn't want to just make it for football.
Right.
So like he'll get up and he'll talk like to the whole school.
I need to know that date.
I'll
I
let you
will be
know.
there
Like we're
for
in.
sure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
If I'm allowed to, I'm pretty sure I can come.
Yeah, I'll
Right.
get you. Yeah,
We'll
you might
we'll
get. So
me in.
we'll get you in.
My
for sure.
background check's good.
Definitely. So we'll definitely get him up there. We'll get you up there too. So
That'll
we're
be
working
awesome.
on that. Yeah, man. I love
Yeah.
his energy. I'm glad you connected me with him too, man. Like I love what he's doing, you know, and he's like right at that beginning stage too. So I
Mhm.
always love to see those guys like right at the beginning starting up, and it's like you kind of like help them along the way, but you know, gave them a platform too to kind of put their work out there
Sure.
too. And those guys, they'll never forget you for that too.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, definitely.
awesome.
So I'll
Good.
keep you posted on that one for sure.
Awesome.
So we'll get them up here.
Awesome. Well, any last words you want to say to everybody?
I'm obviously thank you for having me on. You guys can do whatever you put your mind to, but it's all about obviously what you put your mind or what you put in your mind. Put positive thoughts in there always, because people are going to try to break you down. They are, especially like people that don't understand the things that you're capable of doing. They'll definitely come at you and try to break you down, stuff like that. But it goes back to faith again too.
Yeah.
Like you had that strong faith in the man upstairs and in yourself, then you'll know that you're doing the right thing. So God won't steer you, you know, astray. So you'll be fine, man. So just keep spreading love too. I mean, obviously what's going on in the world right now, you know, love will definitely beat hate any day. So let's just keep spreading love, man, and peace, and just everybody getting along and things like that. Like I said, just stay strong, believe, discipline, all those things too, man. And it's just like I always tell my guys, so I use a visual as a vending machine.
Okay.
All right. So you got this vending machine, right? So all of these things are in there. Everything costs, you know, a different price. You got drinks, snacks, candy, whatever. And I always say, you can't put $1 in there and try to get something that costs $2.
True. Wow, that's good.
So what you put into it is what you'll get out of it.
Yeah. 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 And I want to add one thing since I asked you to wrap it up, but when you were talking about show love and be kind,
Mhm.
you know, the problem, one of the biggest problems is that we don't see the kindness and the goodness in this world. They don't show us that.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of it out there.
Oh,
Brandy's a
absolutely.
perfect example of
And
it.
so are you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But we don't see it enough.
Yeah.
So spread it,
Yes.
share it. You know, when things are
Absolutely.
going good and you see a good post, you see something, share the
Yes.
good stuff. Quit sharing all the shit. Excuse
Yeah.
my language, but
Yeah.
quit sharing
We see
it.
enough of that.
We see enough of that. Share
Yeah.
the positive, share the good things that are happening, because in an instant you'll see somebody share all something horrible,
Yeah.
like it's share, and then somebody's doing something good and it's one person likes it, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
share that good stuff, because that's what this world isn't as, I mean, I know it's bad, but it's
Right.
not as bad as what we see.
Not at all.
There's so much good out there. There's so many good people,
Right.
you know?
And to counter what you just said too about sharing this stuff, even if they don't like it, that doesn't mean they didn't see it.
So true.
Yes. So please still share. Because
Yeah.
I've had people come up to me where they like, yo, like, I love your post. I see all of this and that. And it was like, oh, I didn't even know that they saw it because they didn't like it.
Right.
But people do.
They do
So
watch.
just because, and that's the thing too, don't do stuff just for a like or a retweet or a repost or stuff like that.
No.
Just do it just because you feel like that, whatever it is, represents you.
Yes.
And it's something good. So just share and don't even worry about if somebody
That's
likes
right.
it or not. But people are watching.
Oh, they're watching.
More than you know. They
They
really
are.
are. They are
really
for sure.
Somebody will say the same thing. They'll say something to me about something. I'm like, oh, you saw that? I didn't even know that you were watching my
Yeah.
stuff, you know, but yeah, so just be good, be kind,
Yes.
you know, and I always forget to say this, and my friend Chris is always on me about it. You like this, share this, you know, give some good ratings on it if you would, please. I do have I can't remember what it's called on their little platform, that if you wanted to donate a little money towards it, whatever. I don't make money on this, and I don't mind, because I just want people to hear good stories.
Absolutely.
I want somebody to get through their day. But you know, if you could just like it, share it, give some Apple whatever stars or whatever they're called on there, you know, ratings, that would be awesome. It gets more people to see it and view it. And you know, just as I always say, I just hope that you have a great day. I hope that maybe the story today is one that gets you out of bed today, and you can walk outside and just take a deep breath and know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, we get in our struggles, and I get it. I don't get up every day and my life is rainbows and unicorns, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I
That's
tell people
everybody.
too. But I'm also a realist. Like, I'm going to show you the real stuff. I'm going to show you the real feelings that I have and things like that. But I always know that I can get through them.
Absolutely.
And hearing somebody else's story of a struggle that we unfortunately went through is going to help you to know that you can get through it. So
Absolutely.
that's about all I got for today. And I hope
Absolutely.
that you all have a great day, and, you know, tune in to Hope on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, at my YouTube channel, and just like, share Brandon's story. And we're blessed to have Brandon on here. And like I told Brandon, he was my friend before this, but now he's my Hope friend too.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you for having me. I
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. I appreciate you. And you guys all have a fantastic day.